Welcome. Today we are going to add to our domain a server. SV1 is a server here, which is now defined within a workgroup. What we want is to have that server integrated in our domain called formation.local. The main controller of that domain is the server here, which is AD1, which is the domain controller. In order to do that, we are going now to move to our virtual environment, and I have here server 1, which is running. SV1, which is this server, is defined within a workgroup. What I want to do is to have that server being now joining the domain called formation.local. To do that, I will simply here click, which directly opens me the window of the system properties. And you see that within those properties, I find the name of the server. It's the full computer name actually, which is SV1, and it's defined in the workgroup. To rename this computer or to change it to another domain, I will click on change. Here it's really simple. You see that the complete name is the same, and I will here define the domain. I can key in my domain name, which is formation.local, and I just say OK. At that point, it's requesting that I define myself within the domain as a user with the permission to add a computer to the domain or the server to the domain. Usually, it's the administrator that can do that. I have already defined an account for myself with administrator rights. So I'm going to identify myself with my admin account. Welcome to formation.local domain. That's it. It wasn't more complicated than that. So now it's going to tell me that before I need to restart the computer, what I will say, okay, I close this, and now I can restart. The server is going down and it's going to restart and being at the same time integrated in the domain. While it's performing the integrations, what is needed to be changed in an Active Directory will happen right now. As you can see, for the first time now, security policies from the domain are applied to my system. So it's actually loading all those informations and applying them to the computer. I can now log in. As you can see here, it's naming the user from SV1 administrator. It's how we were defined before. This has to be understood in the following way. This is the local administrator defined within SV1. Of course, this is not what we want to do. I want to log in as the administrator from the domain formation.local, or more precisely, as Chris, that has administrator rights within formation.local. To do that, I will go and select another user. You see, add a user here. And I could, you see here, it's signing to formation. So like that now, I'm signing in under the domain's name. So I could define here in a general way, formation. This is the general syntax to call a user from a domain, and then I could say Chris, you see? But this is not necessary. It's just to show that we always pay attention to what is before the name of the user, the username, to make sure it's at the domain or a local machine. So now the system said that it was loading the profile of the users on that server. So this happens at the first time. It's a bit longer, but every time that you will log in, it will look at your profile and transfer it if it's a roaming environment. So for the moment, this is what is happening. I'm now logged into the server. We see it here, the server is up, and now it's starting the computer, the server manager. Every time it will start the server manager. Now that I'm in the server manager, I will go and see the local server. Watch this part carefully now, it will soon change. And this is what we expected. It means that SV1 is now defined within the domain formation.local. With that, we have now that server really integrated into that domain. If now you would like to remove the server manager from starting automatically at the logon, you can go within Manage. You can go to the server manager properties, and here you see you can tick the following thing that says do not start the server manager automatically at login. By clicking now OK, you will disable the server manager at login. So I will remove this because I think it's useful and it's the way I like to see my servers. But this is up to you. Now you know where to do it. Okay. So now we are also going to see what happened at the level of the domain controller. So at the level of the domain controller, we are now first going to see what happened in users and computers, which is the management tool of Active Directory. For the moment, nothing special, so I'm going to refresh it. And you see that we have here an added computer. So from this part, it's not making any difference whether it is a client or a server. The process is exactly the same. Now we'll have a look at the DNS to see what happened with the DNS. So what we see here is the content of the DNS before adding the server. So as well as I did right now, I'm going to click on a refresh. And we see that SV1 is here directly added to the forward zone. We can also go and look up at the reverse zone, which is here. And on that line here, you see that we also have a reverse entry into the reverse lookup zone. At this point, I think that now you are able to add your own servers. There can be many different servers. There can be servers with just one function like Exchange, IIS, FTP server, and so on. So I wish you all the best with your installations and configurations, and see you soon. Bye!